Welcome into today's edition of Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields. Thank you so much for joining me as we take a look at 10 players to watch in Monday Night Football when the Bengals take on the Washington Commanders at home in the jungle at Paycor Stadium desperately in search for their first win of the 2024 campaign. By the way, before we get into things fully, I'm doing a little solo producing here, so if you see me look down at the screen, just kind of bear with me, just trying to do multiple things here at once as we move through today's show. But should be an exciting show nonetheless, as we're going to take a look at 10 guys to watch, some guys on the Commanders and some guys, of course, on the Bengals as well that I think are going to have an opportunity to make a huge impact and really help dictate the result of Monday night's game. But before we get into that, want to give a shout out to my guy, William House. A couple of videos ago, we said whoever comments the most is going to get a shout out on a future video, and that was William House. And that really is fitting, considering William House is one of our most loyal viewers here at Bengals Breakdown. Watches every single video, is always in the comments section. So big shout out to William. Congrats, my man. Appreciate you for being a loyal viewer to Bengals Breakdown. And we're going to be running this back, so whoever comments the most on today's video will get a shout-out in a future video as well. So comment whatever you got to comment. We'll have some weigh-ins throughout the show to, kind of get your guys' feedback. You want to just comment Who Day, comment that as well. But we'll be giving out another shout-out at some point after today's video. So get down in the comments section and sound off for us. All right, number one on this list is Tee Higgins. Now, I just want to preface this by saying, as of filming right now, we don't know exactly if he will be out there playing for the Bengals. But all signs are pointing in that direction, barring, of course, a setback to that hamstring injury. And, man, the Bengals could really use Tee Higgins, right? They really haven't had that threat down the football field without him. Maybe Germaine Burton could potentially be that guy. We'll get to him a little bit later in today's show. But Tee Higgins was always that threat for Cincinnati. And when Jamar is getting double-teamed, it's really hard to take those shots down the field without Tee Higgins. Tee Higgins has really been a staple in terms of the Bengals' success in recent years. He's really done a nice job creating chemistry with Joe Burrow and really being Jamar Chase's running mate out there on the football field, and just a weapon that Joe Burrow can go to whenever he needs to, a guy that Joe Burrow completely trusts. If you remember when the Bengals beat Kansas City in the AFC Championship game a couple of years ago, that final drive, you were going to Tee Higgins a couple of times on that drive, and he really stepped up and made some massive plays for Cincinnati in that game. So the Bengals certainly have missed that so far in 2024, and hopefully he will be out there on Monday night. But as of filming, again, we don't know yet, but he has practiced, so that certainly is a good sign regarding his status for Monday night. That leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. What is your confidence level in Tee Higgins? Scale it for us in the comments section, 1 to 10. You worried still about that hamstring? Tee Higgins, of course, is trying to knock that injury-prone label that he essentially has right now. So let us know what you think. Are the Bengals rushing him a little bit too much? How confident are you in Tee Higgins? Scale it for us, 1 to 10, in the comments section at the pinned comment of today's video. Second guy I got on this list, just a little heads up, we are going a little receiver heavy here to start today's show, but Noah Brown is on this list. And you might be thinking, Noah Brown, why is he on this list? Well, you may have forgotten what exactly Noah Brown did to the Cincinnati Bengals last year when he was a member of the Houston Texans, and we will get to that absolutely right now. He absolutely went off in the jungle at home, a game that the Bengals really needed to win, and they squandered it away in large part due to Noah Brown. And these are his numbers from that game. Didn't score, but it felt like he was open on every single play, and C.J. Stroud was just fighting him throughout the entirety of the game. So the Bengals, this time when he comes into Paycor Stadium, the Bengals better be ready for him, because they can't afford to let him go that crazy again in a football game. So it's kind of a bit of a revenge game for Cincinnati, just trying to slow down Noah Brown. Noah Brown, of course, went to Ohio State. So, he loves playing some football in the state of Ohio. Bengals are going to have to slow him down in this football game. Cannot have a repeat of 2023 Week 10. That is for sure. All right, sticking with the receivers, Germaine Burton for Cincinnati, also on this list. Look, Jermaine Burton got his first catch as an NFL wide receiver last week in Kansas City. It was only one catch, but boy, was it a big catch down the sideline for Cincinnati for a big gain. And we'll see if he's going to be able to continue to have a bit of an impact as he progresses throughout his rookie season. I think he's a guy that really could be a home run hitter for Cincinnati. And I think Joe Burrow has really, done a nice job of, sticking up for Jermaine Burton in his recent media sessions. He was a little hard on him at first, or that's how he came off at least. But I think Joe Burrow understands that the Bengals have a really, really solid wide receiver here in Jermaine Burton, and he could be a guy that could potentially really help them out this year. So I'm excited to see what his role will look like on Monday, if he will perhaps get a couple of more snaps than what he has gotten these past 2 weeks, and if the ball gets thrown his way a couple of more times. But really excited about the progress Jermaine Burton has made to this point. All right, last receiver, Terry McLaurin for the Washington Commanders. Look, I think Terry McLaurin is maybe the most underrated receiver in the National Football League. I am a big fan of Terry McLaurin, and he hasn't put up big numbers necessarily so far this year. Of course, he's dealing with a rookie quarterback, and McLaurin has, dealt with so many quarterbacks throughout his career in Washington, and he always finds a way to still really be a solid receiver. So the Bengals have to make sure they are accounting for Terry McLaurin, because he will eventually, mark my words, this year will have a game where he absolutely torches the opposition, and the Bengals do not want to fall victim to that on Monday night. I would imagine Cam Taylor-Britt's going to be following him around quite a bit, and Taylor-Britt's going to have to be ready to play if he hopes to slow down Terry McLaurin. Because again, I think Terry McLaurin is an incredibly underrated wide receiver in the National Football League. All right, another Cincinnati Bengal on this list is Zach Carter. If you watch the show, I am very hard on Zach Carter, and I have been throughout the entirety of the offseason. And, he really just kind of made it a little bit easier for me after his performance in Kansas City. Did not look good. He's going to have another opportunity on Monday night to go out there and make an impact for this football team. So I'm going to be watching him. Hopefully he can step up and make some plays. He hasn't really done anything in his career with the Cincinnati Bengals to this point. And the Bengals are going to need him because obviously they are thin along that defensive line, which we'll get to that a little bit more in depth later in the show. But Zach Carter's a guy that I'm going to be looking at to step up. This is a big opportunity for him. If he doesn't take advantage of this opportunity, I doubt he's going to be with this ball club this time next year. So we'll see how he fares. He's got to be able to make some plays, help in the run game, and potentially get some pass rush on Jayden Daniels from the interior. We'll continue with our players to watch here in a moment, but first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Factor Meals because they're the sponsor of today's show. And with football season in full swing, look, guys, I don't have time to cook. That's why I use Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Head to factormeals.com/BengalsChat50 and use code BengalsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code BengalsChat50 at factormeals.com/BengalsChat50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Big shout out to our friends over at Factor Meals. Awesome stuff. Really, encourage you guys to try out some of the things they are doing over there. All right. Another player to watch here is Duron Payne out of Alabama. He is going to be, a big problem in this game for Cincinnati. Joe Burrow at his press conference spoke about how the biggest challenge Cincinnati is going to face is that defensive front of the Washington Commanders. You got two Bama guys up there in Duron Payne and Jonathan Allen. And, Fedarian Mathis could perhaps work his way into the mix as well. And you got some edge guys that are a little beat up, but they have an opportunity to make an impact in this game as well. And the Bengals have to be ready for that and have to be, the offensive line has to show up ready to go once again. I think the offensive line has done a really nice job for this team over the course of a couple of weeks, but they're certainly going to have to replicate those performances in week 3, especially in such a big game for Cincinnati, because like I've alluded to, it really does feel like a must-win game for Cincinnati. When teams start out 0-3, it really does not bode well for them in terms of their success in the season and, hoping to make the playoffs. So obviously a really big game for Cincinnati on Monday night. I'm really going to have to be worried about the defensive front in particular and trying to stop them from, hitting quarterback Joe Burrow. Eric All Jr. also on this list for Cincinnati. Look, he's done a really nice job of, having a great start to this season. He had the knee issue. You didn't really know what he was going to be able to give you, but I tell you what, he looks good. He looks really good out there for Cincinnati, and I'll be the first to admit I wasn't, super happy about the fact that the Bengals drafted him in the 4th tight end. I thought it was a reach to get him, but he is certainly proving me wrong to this point. And, I think you got to be really excited about the things that you have seen from Eric All to this point. And, we'll see if his role continues to increase, but really hoping he builds off that performance last week in Kansas City on Monday night. Another opportunity for you guys to get interactive with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. What is your biggest concern going into Monday Night Football? Is it Joe Burrow? Is it the offensive line? Is it the defensive line? Probably is the defensive line. Let us know in the comments. Get interactive. Sound off for us in the comments section of today's video. What is your biggest concern going into Monday Night Football? All right, another player to watch, Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner has, of course, been in the league for a really, really long time. And, look, he's a great player, and he's a really smart player. So I'm really interested in taking a look at that chess match between Bobby Wagner and quarterback Joe Burrow, because that's exactly what it is going to be out there between those two guys. Burrow can't be, making any mistakes over the middle of the field because Bobby Wagner will make him pay. So that's kind of a a side, storyline to keep an eye on, that chess match between Burrow and Wagner. Really looking forward to that. But Bobby Wagner might be getting up there in age, but the guy can still play. So Burrow and the offense better have answers for a guy like Bobby Wagner. Last Bengal on this list is Lawrence Guy. Lawrence Guy, of course, was recently signed to the Bengals active roster this week. Bengals super thin at that defensive line spot. Had to make a move, and they ultimately brought in Lawrence Guy in this spot. And we'll see what kind of role that he has on Monday night if his number gets called. If Zach Carter's out there not producing, he might have to get more snaps than maybe he was expecting going into this game. But look, it'll be interesting to see, what kind of shape he's in, how many snaps he is able to play if he is out there. But I do expect him to be out there in this game for Cincinnati. And I think all people in Cincinnati really are hoping that this guy can produce for him and be in a spot where he can go out there and make an impact immediately, because everybody knows on the defensive line, Bengals really need it. Lastly on this list, quarterback Jayden Daniels. You don't want to have this rookie come into your house in prime time and this to be his big coming out party. I think you've seen some good things. You've seen some bad things from Jayden Daniels as a rookie quarterback this year. It's well documented the things that he can do with his legs that make him so special. But, the Bengals are going to have to keep him in the pocket. I mentioned this, in one of last week's videos. If you keep him in the pocket and have him try to beat you from within the pocket, I think you're going to have a lot of success in this football game. It's when he gets outside the pocket and has the ability to use his legs that he gets really, really dangerous. But as a rookie, I don't think he's in a spot where he can really dice up your defense if you're kind of keeping him in a box. But that's going to be certainly a challenge, especially considering the weaknesses that are present there along the Bengals' defensive line. So we'll see how Jayden Daniels plays. And obviously, all of Bengals fans are hoping he doesn't really have a big coming out party on Monday Night Football, because that, of course, would be unfortunate. Speaking of the game, though, we will have a watch party here at Bengals Breakdown. We will be live on our channel at 7:15, an hour before kick. Come join us. We're going to be having a great time, and hopefully we're going to be seeing a first Bengals victory of the season. So don't miss out. Hit that sub button. That's youtube.com/BengalsTV.